officially live on YouTube.
Wow. Got it.
And you may have noticed we have closed captioning on the bottom because we actually, every single workshop now, we have usually a good amount of the audience is from the hard of hearing community. So,
oh, that's wonderful.
So we do that.
All right, you let me know when you want to share screen.
Okay.
And it can.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll just admit everybody because it's about time right now, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll admit everybody and let everybody know what's going on, and then we can let you share your screen.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
All right, I have clicked on admit all. So we should have pretty much everybody that was in the waiting room now inside of our presentation room. So welcome everybody. My name is Barnes and I'm from Tumble Home Learning or Tumble Home Books. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about Mary Cerullo and Jeff Rotman and their awesome new book, Sharks at Your Service. And so we'll get started in just a second here. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen and I'm gonna let Mary start up her screen.
So here I go. Second. Because I figured while we were waiting, if you all can see me and see my screen anyway, Barnes, how do I get so that I can actually see me too?
Well, what you can do is if you start sharing your screen, then usually somewhere in a corner, you should still have a window that shows your face.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going down. I'm going to start it over again because I'm starting my share screen here. And there I am. Okay. But while we're waiting, I thought people might like to look at some of the images that are in our book and vote on their favorite shark. And we'll tell you later on which is Jeff's favorite shark. But there are some really wonderful photos that are in the book and that we'll be talking about tonight as well. And so it gives you something to look at while we wait for a few more minutes and people's introductions.
All right, so Mary, shall I start a poll to see what people think?
I love that. Sure.
Oh, maybe we don't have one for this. Ben says to everyone, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
I think we have a lot of our friends and a lot of people who have been coming to the Tumblelocities. So the two shall meet.
Yeah, well, the numbers still keep going up pretty high there. So maybe we'll just get started in just a moment. But just before we do, I just want to let everybody know that, again, this is Tumble Home Books series of workshops. It's called Tumblelocity. So we do this every now and then. Whenever we do a book launch, we usually do a workshop that has some educational information about the topic behind the book. And this one is clearly a very cool one because so many of you signed up. It's all about sharks. And I'll just let you know some of the ground rules. We encourage participation. So we encourage people to shout out questions and answers. And so typically we will not mute everybody. But if it gets a little bit out of hand, then we'll go ahead and try to mute folks. But typically we want to keep it open so that everybody can have a good time. And it looks like we're hitting kind of the same number for a while. So I'm going to go ahead and get started so that we're not starting too late. So I just want to start up by thanking everybody for being here today. We're very excited at Tumble Home about this book. We're very excited about our author and photographer behind this book. Mary Cerullo has been teaching and writing about the ocean and natural history for 40 years. And she's been an ocean aficionado since she spent time at the New England Aquarium in Boston. And she continues today as an associate director of the conservation organization, Friends of Casco Bay in South Portland, Maine. And she describes herself as a science interpreter. She explains scientific research and environmental issues in ways that children and the general public can understand. She loves informal science, and we love informal science. She's written 16 nonfiction children's books, as well as a handbook for teachers and lots of other stuff. And she's won a whole bunch of awards, and you can check out more about her on our website and on Amazon and all sorts of other places. And we also have on today Jeff Rotman, who's the photographer behind this book. And he's actually one of the world's leading underwater photographers, and you'll find out why. He was born in Boston, and he learned to dive and began shooting underwater photos in the cold, very murky waters of the North Atlantic. And he's been relentless in his pursuit of perfection in photography. And he combines an artist's eye with a naturalist's knowledge about all his subjects. His work has been all over the place, blurs the lines between art and science. And you'll find his work in Life magazine, Time, Smithsonian, Natural History, the New York Times, and National Geographic, and lots of other places. So we're super excited to have both Mary and Jeff on today. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to you guys.
Well, thank you. I just want to say that I just want to update that since COVID, I have retired from Friends of Casco Bay, but I'm still a loyal member. And that Jeff and I actually met at the New England Aquarium in Boston, so many years ago. So we've been doing this for a long time together, writing magazine articles and then books for kids. And he's written lots of books for adults that he can tell you to. And we're just really excited to have this different approach to sharks as our 8th shark book. Jeff, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I think you said it all, Mary. The pictures and the story will tell it.
That sounds good. And Jeff, I'll be narrating the slides, and Jeff will be correcting or embellishing the storyline. And but we're so excited to be here finally after COVID and books getting blocked at the Suez Canal and all the other things that's been happening in the world. Did we get a good result on the shark survey there, Barnes?
Well, this is the one that doesn't have the survey on it. This is
This is another one that you can just answer on your own in your own thoughts. These are some of the other books that we've done together. And what word would best describe how these covers make you feel about sharks? Are they scary? Yes. Are they savage? Are they helpful? Now, I don't think any of these would give you that impression, but we're hoping by the end of this evening that you'll see sharks in a whole different way. And that's why we called this book Sharks at Your Service, to show you how important they are in the ocean ecosystem for protecting the ocean's health and also its diversity. And you'll get to see all of these photos that are in our book and that have been taken exclusively by Jeff. So can you imagine yourself in this scene? Would you be scared? A lot of people aren't. Now, Barnes, shall I get rid of the side stuff, or is that in anybody's way?
I don't think it's in anybody's way in during the presentation.
So would you do this? Become a professional shark feeder? Yes, that's a real job. And I got to meet one with Jeff long ago. Or would you hug a shark? Maybe not a good idea. This book is about really 2 principal characters. One of them is Jeff himself, who, as Barnes said, is a really famous underwater photographer, and he literally gets into his work really seriously. This is one of his photos. And it's also the story of a little girl named Marina. And she goes to the aquarium with her father one day, and it's her first time experiencing sharks. So I'll tell her story a little bit first and intersperse it with Jeff. Oh, excuse me. My dog likes to help tell the story. They took a bus downtown, arriving at a gray square building on the waterfront just as the doors were opening to the public. Marina ran straight to the giant ocean tank as her father hurried to catch up. Now, those of you who are from Boston might recognize this because it's based on the New England Aquarium in Boston where Jeff and I met. Marina pressed her face against the glass and gaped at the astounding underwater world. She tried to imagine herself as part of the ocean scene. She glanced up and saw that someone was already immersed in it. A diver waved a gloved hand at the girl and moved farther up the tank. And one of the things that really attracted me to working with Tumble Home Books is they have an amazing artist, our series of artists who can put my words into artwork, just as Jeff has done with this photo. And Marina was so intent on watching the diver kick toward the surface that she didn't notice a pair of cold black eyes staring at her only inches away. And as she jerked back, father rested his hand on her shoulder and said, it was okay. But this is a shark that's famous at the New England Aquarium. They went up to the top of the giant ocean tank where they could look straight down to the bottom of the deep pool. And there they also encountered the diver that they had seen a little bit before. And as Marina was watching, a shark was approaching the woman's fins and she goes, watch out, you're gonna get attacked. And the woman laughed because she said, no, they're not interested in me. They're only interested in the food I bring. In fact, sharks are really important in the ocean and they help to keep it healthy. They have a lot of important jobs to do in the ocean. And just as Marina was going to ask her what she meant by that, the woman picked up her gear and disappeared behind the staff door. So Marina and her father went down below to a tank where you could actually pet sharks and stingrays, which are of course flattened sharks. And I don't know if any of you petted a fin of a shark before, but if you rub it one way, it's smooth. If you rub it the opposite way, it's rough like sandpaper. And that's because their skin's covered by tiny little teeth called denticles that protect them from attack, primarily from other sharks. And just then they heard an announcement over the loudspeaker that there was an unexpected treat, a talk by one of the world's most famous sharks photographers, ta-da, Jeff Rotman. And the lights came down and photographs from a whole lifetime of adventures appeared on the screen. Now I'll tell you a little bit about Jeff's beginnings in that he started taking photographs at the same time he was substitute teaching in Boston schools. And when his kids behaved, he would show photos of his underwater adventures. And eventually that became so popular that he stopped teaching and went to become a full-time professional photographer, diver, explorer. And what I admire most about Jeff is that he is also conservationist. He's used his images to try to protect sharks and other aspects of the ocean from overexploitation. And it's a job that is really important, especially today. So here's Jeff doing what he likes best, being on the ocean floor, concentrating on a subject. Another aside is that Jeff is so intent on getting just the right photograph that he's actually fallen asleep while waiting for the perfect photo. And so fortunately, his friend Asher, who's his safety diver there, has his back, literally. Jeff had actually taken his very first dive with sharks in this aquarium, and that's the sand tiger shark. And it's also the cover of our very first book. And it was a really dramatic image because it looks so scary because its teeth stick out beyond its jaws. But in reality, a sand tiger shark in captivity is pretty docile. And these get fed 5 times a day. So they're especially docile, but they have a really fat belly. Now, this is Jeff's favorite shark. Any guess what it is?
Go ahead and shout it out.
A great white shark. Great white shark.
Right.
Great white shark. Great white shark. I did it.
You did it. It's great. That's so true. It's a great white shark. Although Jeff will tell you that they're not always white, huh, Jeff?
Well, they're not white on top. They might be white underneath.
Right. They have
You
something
see
called
that-
counter. Oh, go ahead.
You see that molted gray coloring on the side and on the top.
And that's counter shading, which a lot of marine life has. So that if you're swimming above a great white shark and look down below, its dark back blends in with the depths of the ocean. If you were swimming below the shark, that white belly would blend in with lighted surface of the water. So it's its own personal camouflage. Now, this is the one shark that Jeff said he would only swim with from within the safety of a shark cage, because they're stealthy hunters. Jeff describes, and you may want to add to it, Jeff, how when he was at Dangerous Reef, Australia, he was standing in a shark cage looking out 100 feet in any direction below and all around him. There was nothing in the water. And then he turned back and there was the shark staring into the cage, because they like to ambush their prey and sneak up from below.
Well, the shark would always come from, or most often come from my blind side. And they seem to be very much aware of the diver and where the front of the diver and his eyes are. And these sharks will actually come up onto the surface and poke their head up and examine you. They'll take a look at you, they'll look at the boat.
Sizing you up, as it were, huh?
I'm sorry?
Sizing you up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So this is the person who introduced Jeff to the great white sharks in Australia. His name is Rodney Fox, and possibly he's the most famous shark attack victim who ever lived. When he was a young man, he was in a spearfishing contest, and he had a whole row of fish trailing on a string behind him when he was attacked by a great white shark. Fortunately, his friends rescued him and got him to the hospital, where he had 462 stitches and 6 pints of blood, and he survived. At that point, he was not a fan of great white sharks, and he wanted to kill them all, but began to realize that the importance of the shark just doing what it's supposed to do in the ocean, which is to keep the ocean clean and healthy. And Jeff has met many other people on his quest for the perfect great white shark photo. Andre Hartman's called the Shark Whisperer. And he discovered by accident that when he held his hand out to push away a great white shark that looked like it was going to bite the back of his motorboat, the shark hung in his hand and just slowly drifted back into the ocean. So Jeff heard the story, and he had to go, and he had to wait for 30 days till just the right conditions. And Andre said, hop on the boat, I'll take you out. And this is what he got. And another couple who also know how to lure sharks is Chris and Monique Fallows. They also live in South Africa. And Jeff describes their action as air jaws. Great white sharks, they discovered, are one of the very few sharks that can leap almost entirely out of the water to grab their prey, like a fur seal, which one is doing in nature on the left. But on the right is the photograph that Jeff got, because the Fallows designed shark decoys that they tow behind their boat. And then when the shark leaped up, Jeff got that image. Anything you want to add to that, Jeff?
No, they're quite interesting the way they hunt for seals and sea lions on the surface. They'll start from about 30 feet down and come up like a submarine and explode like this fellow here through the surface. And it's very, very impressive. Because remember, this is a shark that's as big around as a minivan.
Jeff likes to describe great white sharks as built like a Mack truck, and most other sharks as sleek, like sports cars. And during the course of his presentation, Jeff did an alphabet soup of sharks, from angel shark and basking sharks to wobegon sharks and zebra sharks. So the kids were treated like you will be, to a wonderful array of photographs. among the 100 different species that Jeff has photographed over the course of his career. But this is one that he has not photographed. And I want you to guess the name of the shark. There's 3 choices: Architeuthis giganticus, goblin shark, or Carcharodon megalodon. Are they voting, Barnes?
Yep, the poll is launched now.
Oh, we can watch it evolve. That's cool. Looks like we're close to a winner, huh?
I think so.
Okay, so can I close that? Oh,
You
wait,
want me to end the poll? Yep, we'll share the
Sure.
results.
share the results.
Everybody can see.
And then do I close it or you?
Well, we can announce the winner.
Oh, well, I have it right next slide.
Okay.
So let's close that.
Yeah.
Oops. Uh-oh.
I didn't know the name of this shark. Come here. Look at the jaw fossil.
Carcharodon megalodon. That's right. And what's really fascinating is how scientists figure out how big an extinct shark would be,
I guessed the wrong
because
name.
there's nothing left of the shark
My
except
friend wrote a
its
book on
tooth.
sharks, and this is her book launch, and I'm just being a nice friend. And Jeff,
this, can you see the tooth?
How
This
do
is
scientists
actually a
estimate the size of
Carcharodon
an extinct
megalodon
shark?
tooth. And they only have this hard part of the shark that remains, because the rest of the shark skeleton is made of what you've got in your nose and the top of your ears, cartilage. And that does not last once the shark dies. It deteriorates very quickly. So when Jeff and I did our very first book on sharks, this one, we had this photo in our book, because then scientists figured that Carcharodon megalodon was probably the size of about 2 school buses, and that 6 scientists could fit inside. But when we did our next book on great white sharks, scientists had refunked that and said, well, I don't think it was that big. And maybe it was only the size of 1 school bus. That's the kind of thing that we really want kids to think about, is that science is so exciting because it's always changing. So what I'm telling you now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you go, that Mary Cerullo didn't know what she was talking about, because the facts, especially on ocean science, are being discovered more and more every single day. And what they did was they compared the size of a megalodon tooth to an animal that exists today, the great white tooth, which is how they decided to downsize the size of the megalodon. But this is a question that Jeff gets asked all the time. Anyone want to make a guess what that is? You can say it out loud.
I think it's a whale shark.
Oh, I mean, what question does Jeff get asked? And I'll show
Have
you
you
those
ever
sharks.
been bitten by a shark?
Yes, but I had a special chain mail suit, a suit of metal.
Have you seen a megalodon before?
I'm sorry, dear.
Have you
If
seen a
he has seen a
megalodon?
megalodon before.
Well, megalodons don't live any longer. They died out many millions of years ago. But the great white is like a megalodon, except a little smaller.
Yeah.
But boy, it looks big when you're next to it.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Now, Jeff, during our story, recalled a time when he thought that he and Asher were going to meet their end, because they were surrounded by sharks on the verge of a feeding frenzy. He had gone to this island off the coast of Central America called Cocos Island, about 300 miles off. It was the inspiration for Jurassic Park on shore, and offshore was a place where dozens of different kinds of sharks would converge So he knew it was a great place to photograph sharks, but also a really dangerous place, because what he wanted to do was wait until there was this occurrence called a bait ball. And one day he saw the gulls and other seabirds diving into the water in a frenzy. And he knew that something was happening down below. So he and Asher jumped in the water, and there
Well,
were
we got
sharks.
into a boat.
Yeah, you got into a
And
boat, and then
this happens in open ocean, and we had to go out a couple of miles. And then the sharks were attacking from the bottom and all sides, and just in a frenzy. And there were hundreds of sharks. Go ahead, Mary, I'm sorry.
and they were ramming into Jeff and Asher.
Yeah, they became excited, and they started to not bite us, but ram us like a torpedo.
And tell them what the trigger was.
Well, the trigger was I was
So-
using a flash, and it would make a very high-pitched sound when it recharged. Whoop, like that. And that really got the sharks excited.
And so what was happening was the sharks were attacking these school of fish from below and the birds from above. And there was forming this thing called a bait ball, where the school of fish was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So Jeff and Asher managed to throw themselves into the Zodiac, and they thought they were safe. And all of a sudden they get boom, boom, boom coming up from below.
Well, the
because
bait ball, yeah. The bait ball seeks refuge on anything that's floating in the surface to hide. And of course, the Zodiac was there. And so the bait ball was under the Zodiac, and the sharks were coming through the surface, and their mouths were full of fish. They couldn't close their mouth. And the sharks would actually break the surface with fish in their mouths. And that went on for about 15 crazy minutes. And then the sun went down and everything stopped, returned to normal.
So this is sort of the impression that you get. These are not those sharks. They were silky sharks that were attacking Jeff and Asher. These are white-tipped sharks, but you get the sensation because you probably didn't have much time to take photos at that point, huh, Jeff?
It wasn't, no, it wasn't possible. I mean,
I'm kidding.
your
Yeah.
life is always worth a lot more than any photo.
Even a great photo, but he's gotten other great ones. But it's the sharks that we have to worry about, because up to 100 million sharks a year are killed primarily to meet the demand for shark fin soup. And what fishermen do is they catch the sharks on hooks, cut off their fins, throw the living sharks back into the water where they die or are attacked or can't swim by other sea creatures. And it's a gruesome way to go. And Jeff, you have photographed this happening worldwide. Where have you gone?
All over the planet, it's happening, and it's been happening for quite a few years. They don't always throw the shark back.
Do they keep the food?
Some of them they do. In some areas like India, they're very good. They use almost 100% of the shark. But of course, the bulk of the money comes from the fins.
So when Jeff relayed that to Marina, our other character, it really upset her. And she said, what if people understood how important sharks are to the ocean? And her father bought her a book at the aquarium. They got on the bus to go home. She read most of the book before she even got close to home and started to daydream. And as she daydreams, she sees sharks everywhere. She sees great white sharks that are built like a Mack truck. She sees sleek sharks that are like driving sports cars. In her imagination, she sees a whale shark the size of a bus. And then she starts to see them inside vehicles like an ambulance driver or an EMT. And she thought about how sharks have some of the same jobs in the ocean that humans do on land. For example, an EMT will come and rescue a sick or dying person. A shark will come and uptake a dying fish, but of course he won't bring him to the hospital. And then there's a special shark called the tiger shark that actually is called the garbage collector of the ocean, because they have found human belts, trousers, license plates, bottles, bags of coal, tree trunks inside their stomachs. They'll actually eat anything, and what they can't digest, they'll just barf out in a day or so. But sharks are also cleaning up the ocean. And when she saw a sign that said tops in good eating, come to this restaurant, she thought about sharks and their specialization for what they eat. They have special tools. And their adaptations was so well designed for putting them at the very top of the food web. For example, there are sharks like the sand tiger shark that grab their prey with very sharp teeth. There are sharks that live near the bottom of the ocean that eat grind up shells and devour that. And there are other sharks like the great white shark that slices off huge chunks, 30-pound chunks of dolphin or whale carcasses. So if you were to make this into a survey, this would be what the sand tiger shark eats. This would be what the shark, bottom shark, like a nurse shark. What is it?
It's a horn shark.
Horn shark would eat a bottom dweller, and this is what a great white shark would eat. So they have specialized tools just like chefs have. And they also have specialized tools that humans don't have, which their eyes are so well developed that they can actually hunt by moonlight and even by starlight. So when they passed a sporting goods store, Marina thought about the fact that sharks sort of have goggles, like night goggles, like hunters and soldiers have. And as she was coming home, she saw her mom getting off a bus at the station, and her mom is an X-ray technician coming home from the hospital. And that made her think about sharks and their special sense that lets them detect things like an X-ray. They can discover a flounder buried in the sand, and they pick up the electric pulses of every living being, and even of metal objects, like underwater cables, telephone cables. So all of these characteristics help sharks reach the top of the food web. And she was so excited to tell her mother all about what she'd jerked, that her mother knew that shark would be the invited guest at the table, figuratively speaking. And when Marina went to bed that night, she thought about how can we protect sharks? Things like passing laws to stop shark finning, which Rodney Fox has done in Australia, creating marine sanctuaries, learning about sharks and where they go and how long they live, because there's a lot we don't know about them, and maybe even petting a shark or dive with sharks. And so our book, Sharks at Your Service, really is not only how sharks can be of service, but how you can be of service to sharks. And I have one more story to share, which was my shark adventure with Jeff. Boy, many years ago, I was talking to Jeff about a story, and he said, well, I'm going to go photograph these two boys who on a shark dive. And I said, can I join you? Not really thinking about it, because I could hardly swim. So I had to learn how to swim so I could learn how to scuba dive. I passed my scuba test in Maine, got on a plane the next day, and we were in the Grand Cayman Islands at a place called Stingray City, and played with sharks all day, stingrays all day. And stingrays are just flattened sharks. I don't know if you can see the model of this one here, that live on the bottom, but it was really dramatic and fun. And then the next day, we went on the real adventure, which I'll show you about 2 minutes of, a shark feeding. So I'm gonna unshare that. And let me see, share this. So this is off of the Freeport about a mile offshore from Bahamas, where they feed shark every day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You will see Jeff here with his subjects over here. the boys and their dad. And he is surrounded by about 10 Caribbean reef sharks. Not
Mary,
large.
you don't, I'm sorry. The picture of the sharks are not up on the screen. You are.
Oh, okay. I've got to go back. Thank you, Jeff. There.
There we go.
Okay. I just want to show you Jeff. Thank you.
And now,
And the
those
boys.
are the days before I started to use the chainmail suit.
It was up in your
And,
hotel room, I think,
I was very fortunate in not having had an accident.
which you'll see in a few minutes. So I before they let us get on the boat, they had us signing a paper that said we wouldn't sue them, and also that we would not try to grab a shark or wave your arms wildly about in the water. And you can see in a minute that I took that advice very seriously. It was a really quiet ride out to offshore. That's me, and you can see it's having a bad hair day. And yep, that's it. That's as much as I do. But it was so awesome. Having seen sharks in captivity for so many years, I thought I wouldn't be as excited as I was, but there was nothing like being among them. I wasn't afraid of the sharks. I wasn't afraid of drowning since I just learned to scuba dive. And the shark went over my head like that and turned around, and I looked at it and it blinked its nictitating membranes at me. And I thought, oh, interspecies communications. So you see these two guys with poles, they're protecting the shark feeder, because just like kids sometimes in a lunch line will try to cut and go around the back, they made sure to protect his back. Now Jeff has got the subjects over here, and he does something stupid in a second for a guy that is really familiar with sharks. So watch. He says to his subjects, the boys and their dad, "Get down." And what does the shark think? "You must be feeding me." So it bowled him right over. And when he got it back on the boat, he was kind of chagrined with himself. But for me, it was one of the most exciting things that I've ever been able to do. So I am going to start. And so, Jeff, do you want to add to that experience? And now we can also answer
No,
questions.
why don't we open it up to questions?
Okay. So Barnes, do you want to moderate there? We have a lot of questions.
Sure. Well, while you were playing the video, we did get a question from Enos, who asks, "What is it that you all do that's related to the ocean or sharks? What have you done, or what do you do for a living that's related to the ocean or sharks?"
Do you want to start with what you've done with the photographing the fins, and I'll tell
Well,
them what I do?
Yeah, I mean, I take pictures of all sorts of marine life and what's happening in the ocean. Sharks is one of them. I'd like to focus on it because it's an attractive species in the ocean, and a lot of people are interested in it. It's what I would call a keystone animal. Keystone meaning that if you remove it, you're going to have all sorts of problems. If you overfish and take them out, you'll have all sorts of problems and the environment will change.
And I had been working for over 20 years, and before that for conservation organizations trying to protect the ocean. And we're dealing with things like climate change and ocean acidification, things that aren't as sexy as sharks. But Jeff and I have written lots of books about really cool sea creatures. And we try to end with, at the end of each book, something kids can do themselves now to protect the oceans, because the future is yours. And I'm so depending on your help because we've been doing this for over 40 years, and there's still so many challenges, but that's a wonderful question.
Okay, we got a question from Jennifer, and she asked, "Have you ever photographed a bull shark, and what was that experience like?"
Yes, I photographed bull sharks in South Africa, and it's a species that is responsible for a lot of attacks on people, so you have to be careful with them. They can get pretty large, and they can be very aggressive.
Wasn't it the bull shark that inspired the story for Jaws going up a river in New Jersey in the 30s or something?
Bull sharks do go up freshwater rivers, but I never heard of it connected to Jaws.
And that,
All right, we have another question from Megan saying, how many great white sharks does it take to take down a whale shark?
Well, it would depend if the whale shark was healthy and if it was a juvenile or if it was an adult. If it was an adult, I don't think a whale shark would go after it. Also, if it was healthy, it wouldn't normally be the type of prey a great white would go after. They like seals, sea lions, manageable animals.
and when they've gone after whales, it's often a whale carcass that's already dead.
Yeah,
Floating.
they would go after a dead whale, but not a live whale, unless it was injured.
Or a calf. Yeah.
We have another person who has asked, what is your favorite shark and why?
Well, every shark is a favorite shark for me, but great whites are kind of special because of their behavior, their size, and the fact that you are aware that this animal can make you lunch anytime it wants to.
And I would say my favorite one is a whale shark because when we wrote a book about whale sharks and basking sharks and manta rays, which was really cool. And Jeff described how friendly whale sharks are, that they come right up to him. In fact, Jeff has a photograph of a mouth of a whale shark approaching Jeff that looks like it's just about to eat him. And a second before it dives down and Jeff holds on to its
But
dorsal.
of course, it doesn't eat people. It eats tiny planktonic animals.
Like krill and stuff like that. But that was, I think that's my fave.
Cool. And we have another question. How do you tell the age of sharks?
Mary, go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know if they have otoliths or like ear bones that they can analyze after they're dead. But I would think that I really don't know exactly. When they're alive, I would say just by their size and growth, it's an estimate, but then they're thinking they can live at least, 40 years or more? That's one of the questions that scientists want to find the answers to. So they've started tagging sharks and then, following that. But it's one of those unanswered questions of science that it's still evolving.
We have another question. Have you ever worked with dolphins?
I have, yeah. I've spent time with dolphins in the Red Sea as it relates to a personal relationship. A friend of mine, a Bedouin fisherman, developed a very special relationship with the dolphin in the Red Sea. And that went on for years. And people would come from all over the world to see it and snorkel with the dolphin.
And we did a book on dolphins. That was actually our third book that we did together. I spent a week at the Dolphin Research Center, which is in the Keys in Florida. And I got to feed dolphins and work with the trainers to train dolphins and swim dolphins. And we're also working on a revision of that because people have changed their opinion on dolphin shows. For example, the National Aquarium in Baltimore is looking for a new home for all of its resident dolphins that's more like a sanctuary in the ocean. They've been looking for 3 years and so far have not found a place that's not polluted with red tide or pollution runoff or development. And they have looked in over 50 places in the Caribbean and Florida, and they're still looking for a safe place to put the dolphins, sort of in a really large enclosure, but that they won't be performing anymore, that they'll just be studied by scientists. So stay tuned. I hope they find the place for dolphins because they are incredibly intelligent. There was one story when I was at the Dolphin Research Center where they had a female dolphin who had just given birth in the same pool as 2 male dolphins who could care less about the baby. They would have killed it to get to the female. So they had a pen like this that was connected, 2 pens connected by a fence that was up. So every time the mother dolphin tried to swim into the other pen, the males would be too fast for her. Finally, she went up to one of the aquarists and threw the baby dolphin into his arms in the water. She rushed into the other pens. The male followed her. She rushed back and they shut the gate. And she went, "Come on, give me my baby back." So she figured out things that are just, they have all sorts of stories about how impressive they are.
Well, we just very rapidly got 4 more questions. And I think someone is echoing.
Yes.
So I am going to turn off the one that is in front of everybody right now. Unless you guys can just mute yourselves would be nicer. But if not, then I'll go ahead and mute anybody who's echoing. But let's see, the first of these 4 questions is, have you photographed a shark in the Amazon River?
No. Which means that perhaps someday you could do it.
We have a really exciting question here. Have any people been caught inside a whale shark's mouth?
No.
What was
No.
the thing that somebody just got stuck in last week, though?
Oh,
and then
excuse
got out?
me. Yes.
So yes, just happened.
Yes. There was a fisherman?
I don't know. I don't know if it was a diver.
Yeah,
Or if it,
and the whale shark immediately regurgitated throughout
Mhm.
Yeah.
the person,
plus
knowing
they have a really skinny little throat, so they wouldn't have been able to swallow him, but could have crunched him up a lot. But didn't want him anyway.
but the chances of it ever happening are so small. I mean, that's the first time I've ever heard of it.
All right, here's a sort of a trivia question. How many different kinds of sharks are there?
Over 400.
Yeah.
And they're discovering new ones all the time,
And I've been
especially in the deep, deep waters.
and they think there could be as many as 1,000. But I just want to point out that Jeff has photographed
It's a lot.
100 species of that estimated 400. So he's been a busy boy.
So I missed it, right?
Okay, and we got another question. Have you ever found shark teeth when you were diving? And specifically, have you ever found a Megalodon tooth?
Shark teeth, yes, because once they had a frozen barrel of fish guts, frozen solid, and all the sharks would come in and bite it, and oftentimes their teeth would fall out, which was not a problem for the sharks because they have many extra teeth in rows that just move right up and take its place.
And
And
I
the
don't know if
teeth
you
would
can
fall
see,
off.
I don't know if you can see this shark jaw. It's a dogfish shark, but it has many, many rows of teeth. And every time a shark, some teeth fall out and others come up to replace it. They estimate maybe a shark will grow 26,000 teeth in a lifetime.
No.
And for someone who's paid for orthodontia for my kids, that would be a wonderful thing, not have to worry about that.
Okay, and before we get any further, I know we had this comment, maybe not exactly a question, but more of a comment a little bit earlier from Callie and Phoebe. And they mentioned that they have a Megalodon tooth. Is that correct? So I'm going to go ahead and ask you guys to unmute, and I'm going to spotlight this. So if you can all see it, go ahead and show it.
Wow.
Wow, that's bigger than mine. That's so cool. Where did you get it, Callie?
Our grandma gave it to us in the kit of shark teeth.
Wonderful. Oh, that's beautiful. That's amazing. You know, if you were to buy that today, it would be like $750. So,
Look at it,
very
Kaden.
cool. Very cool.
Look at the shark teeth, tiny ones.
All right, and we got another question. Do any type of sharks glow in the dark?
Ooh, I do not know, but I'm sure the deep ones, like the goblin sharks, must, because almost 90% or more of all the animals that live in the deep ocean do have bioluminescence. So I would
You just
say,
did it.
yep, but I can't tell you which ones.
And it looks like we have another person who has found a shark tooth and wants to show it and see if you guys can identify what it is.
Ooh,
We're wondering what it is. Shark or it's a large tooth. We don't know. Shark or whale.
that sounds like Deb.
It is Deb.
All right, I'm trying to find you, Deb, so I can
Deb
spotlight you.
DeBegan.
I'll keep talking so I show up. This was it.
Are you on YouTube?
Are you
Maybe
on-
that's it.
I can hold it.
Can you see her on YouTube, Bernice?
I'm not
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Oh, you aren't. You are. You got YouTube.
Hmm.
Daddy, can you ask? Because I want to show the little ones.
I see Deb Sandler and Anne Reed. There she is.
Anyways, that's it.
Can you see it?
Yeah, I'm trying to do
That's
the
a
highlight.
shark tooth?
We're not sure what it is. Is
I
it?
don't think it is. No,
Belong to us and we don't know what it is.
I,
A whale tooth?
it looks like what they used to, something from, a whale that they used to carve, don't you think?
Making this
It looks like something from a whale when they, the mariners who used to whale hunt would carve on them. That's my guess.
There, Dad.
Oh, thank you.
I think it looks like a sperm whale's tooth.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Whale tooth?
Very cool.
Thank you. Oh.
oh, I remember those.
You're enjoying it.
And Callie and Phoebe, did you have something else to show?
I'm looking at you.
I have more shark teeth.
That is very cool.
Oh, yeah.
That looks like, sort of looks like the teeth that you would see on the sand tiger shark that we showed you early on. But it looks fossilized. It looks, that's very cool. Do we have any more questions? We have about 5 minutes.
Well, some people have said, thank you so much. This was fantastic. I think what we could do is, Mary, if you want to be the one to announce what the special is, since so many people have been showing their teeth and talking about fossil teeth.
Oh, and you
do that.
tell them how to get it. Tumble Home Books has a special value, reduced value price of the book for those who order within the next and also a special prize that is going to be sent with it too. So I think you should tell them that part
Okay.
because it's really kind.
All right. Yeah. For those of you who are on today and until supplies last, we have fossil shark teeth that we're going to be shipping out along with the book. Sorry, I have to mute everybody while I'm making this announcement here. The important thing that I want to say is we have a shark tooth that we're going to be shipping out along with a copy of the book to everybody who signs on our website and orders the book in the near future. And that's until supplies last, because we've got a bunch of shark teeth, but not an infinite amount. But we're also doing that along with our special, which is 25% off the book. And I will, in the chat, I will provide you with that, what that code is. So you can go ahead and enter that code into the website. I'm going to write code is, and I'm going to enter that there. And for those of you who want to go ahead and order the book, you can go ahead and get a discount and a fossil shark tooth.
And is that free shipping for this short period of time?
I believe it is. There should be a button that you can click on. If there's free shipping available on it, you can just go ahead and click on that, and that will get you free shipping as well.
And you will be the first to see them, because we have not seen them yet ourselves, because they were delayed during the Suez Canal traffic.
Right. So part of the reason why we're offering such a great deal is because the books all got delayed because of a shark attack. No, I'm just kidding. There was no shark attack. But there was a big shipping delay that happened in the Suez Canal earlier this year that delayed a lot of other things. And it somehow affected our shipment of this book. So the books are expected to come to our Boston office within the next week. So we will probably start shipping things out next week. Not right away, not today. Unfortunately, I know everybody wants to read the book tomorrow morning, but you might have to wait till next week.
And did you see from Deb Sandler information about our website, where you go?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to put that in there again. I dropped it in there a couple times. I'll put it in there one more time to make sure that everybody gets to see that. The book can be found right here at this link, and it's tumblehomebooks.org, sharks at your service.
Thank you all. We really
All
appreciate
right,
you tuning
thank
in
you.
tonight. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you. It was great.
Ciao.
Thank you.
And everybody
Best
give
luck.
Mary and
We
Jeff
love
a
it.
big
Thanks,
round of
Mary.
applause.
Thank
That was
you.
awesome. That was really awesome.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome.
Mary
Write
and
to
Jeff,
us.
you're the best.
Have a good
Oh,
night.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Mary. It was great.
Oh, good to see you, Deb.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Ann.
Bye, Mary.
Bye-bye, Cindy. Did you get your boy?
Oh, he's not here yet,
Oh, okay.
but that's
Well,
fine. I'll show
It'll
him.
be
the book.
recorded, right?
Oh,
It's recorded for people to get later.
Oh, fun. Oh, awesome.
Great.
He will love it. He will totally love it. And he'll love the book too.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining us. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you, Mary.
Oh, hi, Sarah. Oh, Gina. So good to see you. Oh, we got lots of friends here. They're all across the country, and Ann. So great to see you. And Callie, thank you for helping. Okay. I appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm glad you shared your stuff. I can tell you're already into sharks a lot. That'd be great. You can become a shark ichthyologist. That would be great.
You have a great future.
She does indeed, so good to see you all.
Thanks.
Mary, thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Barnes, do we need to stay on or should we stay on? Anybody else?
We don't. We got a question from people about whether or not the email list will receive some more information. And yes, we usually do send out an email with follow-up information as well. So the information we sent today, most of that will be duplicated. You'll be able to find all the links to things on whenever whenever we send out a follow-up email, which usually happens within a day or two, and then you guys will also be able to get this info too.
And also I prepared a little, a short kind of follow-up curriculum activities that that we can also distribute. And then it includes things like a shark quiz and ways of telling difference between sharks and regular fishes, and other ways that you can become, think about your careers dealing with sharks. So if you're at all interested, we'll send those out eventually too, right? Because it's part of the Tumbleosity services.
Exactly. Rebecca will take care of that. And many of you probably received an email from Rebecca. You'll probably receive another one shortly. So thank you again, Mary. This was really awesome. And thank you, Jeff. I think
Really
Jeff
enjoyed
doesn't
it.
see him on there right now, but thank you both.
I think he's celebrating.
Okay.
We had a great time. Thank you all.
Hey,
Take
Mary.
care.